My Life as a Netflix series.
Wow.
Well, that's a Netflix twist, isn't it?
On B105.
Yeah, we thought, you watch Netflix and the best shows always come from just an ordinary person and their story, because sometimes reality is in fact better than fiction.
I think they've renamed reality Netflix documentary.
Yeah.
Well, we said everyone has a Netflix documentary in them or a show in them, and everyone's got a story, and we want to be able to hear them. And this morning we're going to hear from Sam, whose life could be a Netflix special.
Good morning.
Now, like anyone pitching, their story to Netflix, you sound a little bit nervous, and rightly so. But we would love to hear an extraordinary story in your life if you could start from the beginning.
Okay, so picture 18-year-old unexpectedly find out that she's pregnant. Only been dating a guy for 8 months. Goes to the doctor, yes, definitely pregnant. A couple of days later, goes for an ultrasound, and the technician goes, "You're 21 weeks and 6 days, and it's a girl."
Wow.
Wow.
Then you go, okay, so there's literally nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Were you living at home with your family at that time? Were you at school?
No, I was a bit of a black sheep, so I was out living my best life,
Yeah.
dating a man older than me.
Okay.
What was the age gap with the man you fell pregnant
13
to?
years.
Okay.
Wow, so he's 31 and you're 18 at this time.
How's the
yeah.
maths?
Bloody hell.
Right. Okay.
Well
yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And then go up to the hospital. They say there's nothing else you can do about it, like you're going to have this baby. I was like, oh, well, actually, no, I'm not. So we both decide on adoption. Go through the whole process, go through psychology to make sure that we were right in the head to be able to give baby up for adoption.
At that moment, though, because I've always found it, extraordinary, and I can understand, I guess, going, I'm not ready for this. This is not what I had planned. This is not on the bingo cards. I can't go ahead with it at that point.
Still a child. Well, you're
But
a
can
kid,
I
aren't
just
you?
ask, what did it feel like when you first, I guess, felt her kick, or actually those real pregnancy moments, and know that you're not going to be...
Petrified.
Yeah.
To be completely honest with you, I don't remember much of being pregnant.
Yeah.
I think my brain has blocked it out.
Right.
Had baby alone. Boyfriend wasn't there because I didn't want him to get attached.
And what about your family at this point? Do they...
Completely against my decision. I was the worst person in the world. How could I never love a baby this much? That sort of thing.
Okay.
Had her left the hospital maybe like an hour and a half after I had her, which obviously is not a great thing to do.
No.
So at that moment, I guess, people come in, you've already talked about it before, they've already done, the psychology report on you.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously didn't breastfeed or have that first cuddle?
No. No, so you know that moment, and you would know this, Abby, that first cry is delicious, and I didn't have that.
Yeah.
We had already signed the adoption papers by then. Went home. Everybody, I had interstate family. They flew up to support my mum
Wow.
because she was losing her first grandchild. I sat alone in a unit for a really long time, contemplating all of my life decisions. Then you get like a 90-day, don't quote me on this because my memory's a bit fuzzy, but there's a revokement period.
Yeah.
I went back to work maybe 5 days later. I think I had about 3 or 4 days left, and on the radio I heard Kelly Osbourne's Papa Don't Preach.
Right.
This song.
Something... Trauma.
Oh, wow.
Called the adoption agency. She was back within my care within 3 days. I was obviously very severely postnatal.
Yeah.
Didn't know what that was, didn't know what happened. Moved back in with my parents, went out partying, just being a typical 18-year-old, letting mum take over, that sort of stuff. Came home one day and all my stuff was on the front lawn. And then I just went about being my typical 18, 19-year-old self, thinking, yay, I don't have it. I never bonded, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Was a barmaid at a strip club. Tried to be a stripper for 6 months, but was the worst one on the planet. Then
Did you keep your clothes on?
I just didn't like it. I was like, nah, this is not for me, sir.
High heels, no clothes, just not doing
Yeah,
it.
not a fan.
It's sounding like, and I don't want to assume who you were, it sounded like you were on this party path and you were running wild, but at heart, that's not who you truly were.
No, not at all. And then I managed that club for 11, 12 years, still not who I was.
Yeah.
Be around loud music all night, it stopped the inner thoughts.
Yes.
And this 31-year-old guy, what was he like? Because you would have thought that maybe him being older, and I don't know if you guys are still in touch with each other, that him being older, that he would be ready to maybe take on that responsibility a bit more.
He supported me, and he is now my husband, and we've now been together 23 years.
Wow. There you go.
Wow.
Well, that's a Netflix twist, isn't it?
And we have 3 kids.
Wow. And do you have any contact with your first child?
We tried a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
She wanted to know my kids,
So they're
and
her.
it was beautiful,
Yeah.
full blood. It was very healing, but there was so much water under the bridge, and I know that everybody says, I think me and my mum did the best we could at the time.
Yeah.
I say that, it's not necessarily what I feel.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? It's that, like, I've done it. Me and my husband have done everything. We've done the 2 a.m. cluster feeding with I've never had a support network.
Yeah.
Me and my husband don't date. It's been 23 years. But my kids don't know the real story.
Yeah, right.
Do you know? Like, how do you...
Well, they know
How
the
do
mum
you-
that they've got now.
No, I know that, but the mum that they have now is so reflective of what I couldn't be.
Yeah.
And there was this narrative that I didn't love that baby, or I didn't... And that wasn't the narrative. It was, when it first happened, I got death threats from friends because I was this evil person that couldn't love a child, and it just wasn't that.
You were a child. You were
Which is-
scared. You were a child yourself, and you were scared of what was happening.
Yeah.
I think
But
Sam.
I also now know that if one of my kids came to me and said, oh, crap, Mum, this has happened, I would be like, what do you need me to do? What do you need me
Yeah.
to...
But Sam, do you know there's dads all over the world that have never had contact with their child,
That's
and they don't receive the same death threats. And I feel like it's, a mum is supposed to have that inbound bond with their child. And the reality is, if a lot of parents and a lot of mums are being honest, they don't have it, or they didn't have it. And a lot of it is to do with postnatal depression, where you just, you can't. And for you being in that situation at that moment, you weren't able to be a mum, and I'm not excusing it, but it's amazing how fast forward you say that you've become that mum to your other 3 kids now because of what you couldn't be then.
Yeah, my 6-year-old still sleeps in my bed with me, and it's the most annoying, beautiful thing on the planet.
Yeah.
Good way to
Yeah.
put it. Yeah.
Did she live with your mum?
Yes.
And
She didn't know that she wasn't her mum for a really long time.
Yeah.
Whereas, if there was an adoption, it would have been... I have to be careful what I say, because if people are listening, I don't want people to think that I'm bashing anyone, and everyone's feelings matter in this situation. But for 20 years, it's been this weird hole in my heart that you just carry around and nobody knows. I now have a career. It's only in the last... since COVID that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna wake up and I'm just gonna be the person that I want to be.
So she knows
is
you're her
life,
mum,
right?
Does she know
does
that?
now, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But for most of her life, she thought that her grandmother was her mum.
Yeah,
did you say that your
And
other kids know, or they've met her
They
but they
do.
don't? Yeah.
it was I said that we could do it as long as everybody was all in to protect my kids, because I didn't want them, because they don't know what it's like to have a family. The only family they know they have is what is in their 4 walls. So I didn't want to expand that and them get heartbroken.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting heartbroken, which is devastating to me, because to have those kids beg to see a grandparent. And you don't want to be that person that's like bags the grandparent. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to...
Yep.
How do you navigate that and still be the cool mum that they think is a rock star? When internally you're like, have abandonment issues and you overcompensate with everything because of what you've been through.
Yeah.
Your husband and you must have talked about that time. How has he
Not
felt
really.
like? You haven't? Right.
I can't because it's such a dark time for us.
Yeah.
He's a very protective man and he knows how much it broke me. It occasionally comes up when we have a few too many wines and I'm sobbing in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Christmas times it comes up
Yeah.
when Santa's been and there's that lull in Christmas Day and I'm sobbing because I feel very alone. Or around her birthday when my body wakes up at exactly her birth hour and I hysterically sob in bed. Like, there's so many things that he just will sit up and he'll put his hand on my back and he knows and he just lets me go through it.
Well, you're right. That is absolutely a Netflix special.
Right?
And look, and something to carry. You've carried for your whole life, and you'll continue to. And we really appreciate you sharing that story with us. And we hope that we get to do season 2 of this one.
Yes.
And hear that it's all ended well for you.
I hope season 2 for me is utterly boring.
Yeah. No, I was saying,
And then she carried on with the boring but happy life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. It must bring up a lot for you.
It brings up a lot, but it's healing because there was so much shame and embarrassment around it. You guys are touching on some really cool subjects in the mornings, and when I drive to work, I listen to them, and I'm like, yeah, go, talk about it. But it's like there's people that drive to work in the morning and have similar stories.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Sam, great to talk to you this morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.